We now move from the world of IT into the world of wellness, and our next speaker is Celeste Cleary, founder of Flourishing Wellness. Now, Celeste empowers leaders to build resilient, high-performing cultures by putting the well-being of their people at the heart of their strategy. With 30 years in nursing and leadership, she brings a rare mix of clinical insight and emotional intelligence to the workplace, helping organisations reduce stress-related risks, improve engagement, and foster cultures where people feel safe, valued, and ready to lead. Her clients have reported stronger team connection, increased uptake of EAP, and more open conversations around mental health. Celeste's signature workshop, Mastering Tough Conversations, equips leaders with the confidence and tools to navigate high-stakes communication, because a healthy culture starts with a brave one. Hopefully today is not a tough conversation. Please welcome Celeste Cleary.
Thanks, Brad. Okay, I should have reread my bio before I came today, because a lot of what I had prepared is very similar, and my understanding was just a fairly short intro of me and then focusing on the panel shortly. So I wanted to share a little bit about my journey, which is going to be off the cuff, and then I'll come back to what I had wanted to finish with. So my background is in nursing. So up until about COVID, I was a nurse for 30 years. And I was getting a bit jaded. I was feeling like I wasn't getting in front of the burden of metabolic disease that's out there. I've actually seen things get a lot worse for our health and well-being as a nation over the time that I've been nursing, which is really sad to see. And so I thought, in healthcare we tend to tell people what they need to do. We're so busy, we're so, so under the pump as a workforce that it's like, yep, you need to take these tablets, exercise, eat this food, don't do this, don't do that, stop smoking, and next, and out you go out the door, and it's like, well, maybe smoking is your biggest crutch, maybe it's what you need to help you get through the week, and you've got no intention of giving it up. And so you feel this tension with what's serving you in the moment and what you're being told you need to do, and it's all too hard, and you just think, oh, bugger it, I'll just go back and do what I'm doing, and I'm being hit sideways by my work, my job, my business, and we just keep going until, we're planning to hitch up the van and do that trip around Australia when we retire, and suddenly we're diagnosed with motor neurone disease or Parkinson's or something very severe that means we may never get to do that trip at all, and we suddenly realise the finite life that we have. So I thought, right, got to do something different, and so I started looking around, and health and wellness coaching was becoming a thing, more of a thing than it had been in the past, and I thought, this is it. This is how I get to help people make change that's meaningful for them. What is it that they want to do? What is the outcome you want when you can lose the weight or give up the smoking or whatever the change is that you want? And that's where we start. So I meet people where they're at. And it might be the smallest thing. I think in our society we are so busy at the moment looking for what's the next thing I need to do, the next thing I need to add onto my plate to be more, do more, have more, when sometimes it's simply taking something off our plate. It's doing one thing less. It's setting a boundary with our notifications on our phone or our emails or something, so that we can just create a space for ourselves to think about what is important to me. What do I want? What are the important things in my life? My relationships. Suddenly I realise I haven't been to a family get-together for 10 years, because it's just every week goes one week to the next, and, the time slips away. So as a nurse, I found it limiting, but as a health and wellness coach, I feel like I get to help people make meaningful change. And what I see is this ripple effect that as they get confidence in that they can just get space for themselves to be able to go for a walk a few times a week, or then it might grow into something like, let's start running with a running group, and they're experiencing that connection, and then that has an effect on their confidence and they want to try something else, and they you know, that whether it's going into marathons or whether it's something else at work perhaps that they feel more capable and more energised about. So there's this sense of purpose that they really tap into, and that raises the energy levels, and it affects their team at work, their family, and I find that really inspiring. So turning into wedding speech, so I'm going to just settle down for a minute. When it comes to as a business, I found this a really steep learning curve, and I think a lot of my growth has come from growth as a person, individually, learning to get up and speak and talk about what I do and communicate that to people, and developing my own self-confidence. When I started coaching, it was one-to-one, so that was a pretty tough gig. How do I get the message out there? People don't buy coaching, they buy an outcome. They buy how they want to feel, what they want to be able to do. And so learning their words, learning their language, and then communicating how I can help them to achieve that outcome has been quite a learning curve as well. So when I was approached by a leader of an organisation, I'd finally plucked up the courage to do some little workshops with my peers in nursing, helping them with compassion fatigue. I was approached by a leader from an organisation to say, oh, well, we've got some really stressed people. I hear you doing workshops with nurses. Could you help us? And I thought, wow, yeah, okay, I'll figure it out. And then I backed myself to get a mentor who works in that space that could help me to figure that out. And that I haven't looked back since then, because although it stretched me into doing things I never thought I would do, it's really helped me grow, and it's helped me to have more of an impact for people. So my advice, yes, get a mentor, say yes and figure it out, because you will, and you just got to keep asking the right people. So I agree with what Kirsty was saying before, like get a mentor that can help you, because there's times when you doubt yourself and you talk to them and they say, you can do this. Hey, let's figure out the steps, and suddenly the doors open. And then what Brad was saying about showing up for others, like when we help others, we empower them to go and, pay it forward in a way. This empowerment piece has this ripple effect. And I see it in individuals as they grow. I see it in their family as they grow. I see it in their workplace and their team. And that's that bit of my ad-libbing done. So why do I do this? Because I've learned the hard way that powering through exhaustion as a small business owner and pretending that we're fine isn't a sustainable business strategy. Who knew? So as a former nurse and now small business owner, I've seen what happens when we ignore the signs. And it's not pretty. We get cynical, we get judgmental, and frankly, it affects us as leaders. We're not as inspiring, and it can have a negative impact on our team. Over time, that energy shapes our team and our culture for better or for worse. So when people work with me, they get to pause. They get to reconnect with what really matters to them. And they build habits that actually support their life, not drain it. They show up to their teams with more energy, with more presence, and a lot less reactivity. So I deliver tailored workshops, coaching, and wellbeing talks. So if you're curious, or you're just tired of being tired, come and have a chat after the panel. Thank you. Thanks, Brad.